Hello everyone, welcome back to Chaka Film. If you haven't watched this trendy video and you are a Nigerian, and this new tax law that will start from the 1st of January will affect you, you better go and watch this video now. Then you will know that the Nigerian government are not serious. So let's watch this video and then we'll come back to continue the story. But please, before we watch this video, if you haven't subscribed to my channel or you've watched my video before but you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to this channel, share this video, like it, and even comment on it. So let's go.
The UN has been sending Western tax collectors to Africa to force the continent to pay their foreign debts, and this organization is called Tax Inspectors Without Borders. And if you think this isn't real, here is their website. They are implementing sales tax, minimum tax rates, taking African businesses to court for tax evasion, and they are bragging about the billions they collect from the continent. What the UN does is they send forensic tax auditors from the West to African nations to close loopholes, audit businesses, and implement tax laws that extract as much money as possible from the local population in order to pay back IMF and World Bank loans. And they are very good at what they do. Tunisia was one of the first countries to work with the UN tax collectors in 2015. And since then, the Tunisian government has increased tax revenue over 50% relative to GDP. Recently, you've probably seen different tax reform laws in West Africa, Kenya, among others, and all were pretty unpopular, but they were implemented with a carrot and stick methodology. If the African leaders don't work with the Western tax collectors, they face sanctions. But if they play nice with the tax collectors, they get more loans from the IMF. And you've probably figured out this game already. The West is getting the African nations to run up large debts, then training the African governments to collect the interest payments from the local population, and that money then goes to Western banks. And in many African countries, over 70% of the government revenue goes towards debt servicing. So it's essentially a much more efficient form of colonialism. But I want to know what you guys think. Have you seen unpopular tax reforms in your country? Have they increased your cost of living?
Welcome back. As you have seen, Nigeria is experiencing the same thing from that video now. We have a new tax regime. Of recent, the Tinubu government signed an MOU with the French government to help us collect tax. And what is inside the MOU, nobody knows. The government have not shown the Nigeria what is inside. It is not a secret. We call it, which is a secret MOU. Nobody knows what is inside. Even Senate and House of Assembly members don't know what is inside. Nigeria's journalists have requested for the MOU, but till today they haven't gotten any result. We are signing our life to the Western world. They will help us collect the tax. What will they be gaining in helping us? What are we giving at? What will be the benefit of French government? Nobody knows. It is only what the Tinubu government tell us. It's what we have now. As if that is not even enough. You think, okay, that is the end. It can't get worse than that. Then comes the news of accusation against Tinubu government. It is allegedly that the Tinubu government deleted something from the new tax law. That is what they don't like, and they imputed a new power to themselves. So let's watch the video, then we'll come back to continue the discussion.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I'm here today because my privilege has been breached as a member of this all-important House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we passed the tax laws on this floor, and Mr. Speaker, I took my time in the last 3 days to look at the gazetted pass copy, the vote and proceedings of the House of Representatives, and also went an extra mile to look at the vote and proceedings of the Senate of what was harmonized. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, what I passed on this floor is not what is gazetted. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I have all the copies, but I'm coming under privilege because I was here, I gave my vote, and it was counted, and I'm seeing something completely different. So on that note, on this privilege, I will call on Mr. Speaker to graciously look at what was harmonized, what is in the gazetted copy, what was passed in the House and the Senate. You will find out what is before Nigerians, which is being sold to Nigerians. at the Ministry of Information, which I personally went to buy the gazetted copies, are not what was passed. So there is no motion here, but Mr. Speaker, I'll be pleading that all the documents should be brought before the committee of the whole. The whole members should see what is in the gazetted, should see what they passed on the floor, so that we can make the relevant amendments.
The Punch newspaper, one of their reporters, according to yesterday's paper online, they were able to get the gazetted copy from an anonymous person and said, in the house. And they said, okay, can we get it? Let's even go through it. Let me just mention a few things, because that's our job here as journalists. There are 4 pointers in the alleged altered tax laws. One of them is that the committee's review, supported by forensic comparisons and independent legal opinions, established that substantive provisions were inserted, deleted, some were deleted, or modified after passage by both chambers. Do you know what this means? Hold on. 2, several oversight, accountability, and reporting mechanisms approved by Parliament were removed from the final acts. Number 3, new coercive and fiscal powers, e.g., arrest powers, garnished without court order, compulsory USD computation, appeal security deposits, appeared without legislative approval. Number 4, the lawmakers further argued that Section 4 and 58 of the 1999 Constitution vests lawmaking powers exclusively to the National Assembly, not the presidency. So what are we saying here? It means that, 1, the MOU that was signed between the FIRS, now known as the NIRS from January 1, and France may have had these things or these pointers. My question is, when I saw all of these things, looking at this, please, the presidency, I know they are watching. Is it too hard a thing to do to make this MOU public to Nigerians? We had a guest who joined us here. He's been going to the National Assembly, talking about Shegu, and he sent me a message 2 nights ago and said he has requested of the MOU from the FIRS. And he sent me a screen grab.
Using his freedom of
they answered him. He said, please, can I get it? He hasn't gotten it till today.
Still on the developments in the House of Representatives, joining us via Zoom is Honorable Rima Shaulu, former member of the House of Representatives who represented Taraba State. He is also a distinguished journalist. He is joining us to discuss this tax matter. Thank you for joining us, Rima.
Thank you very much, my good friend.
Honorable Rima Shaulu, as a distinguished former member of the House of Representatives and, of course, a journalist of repute, how concerned are you with these latest developments with respect to discrepancies to bills passed or gazetted or not passed, and different versions, if you like?
Those allegations deserve some investigations. For instance, he spoke about insertion of passages that were not contained in the certified bill. He spoke about clauses that were removed from the gazetted copies. He also spoke about texts that were modified substantially, such that the meanings or intent of the original provisions may have changed. And these are not just editorial or clerical fixes. And in any case, I was a member of the committee of the Constitutional Review Committee at one point in the National Assembly at one of the joint conferences. I think there was a very big debate as to whether the clerks of the National Assembly had the power or not to make any changes, in even if it were grammatical errors, and then just submit the changes that they have made to for onward transmission to the president. And the preponderant opinion, I think, if I remember very well, was that even if it was a typographical error, such typographical errors need to be taken back to the 2 chambers for correction, because it is the chamber, is the resolution of the chambers that in the intent of the Constitution or in the process of lawmaking as all over the world, it is what is passed at the chambers on the floor of the two houses in the case of Nigeria that ought to become law, and not any form of correction, however little, that any person from the clerks of the National Assembly to the executive could make. The law, the constitution, and the history made such changes to be made by either clerks of the National Assembly or the executive, without those changes, however small, however minute that they are, being taken back to the legislature for appropriate corrections.
So, as a former member and someone who I can say has cognate experience in this kind of lawmaking process, moving forward, what would you suggest the House and the Senate should do with these discoveries?
Now, there are certain things that we must make very clear when we talk about Nigeria. Namely, that is the fact that the lawmaking process, as we have it, as it's intended, as it evolved through history, it does not contemplate a situation where anybody in the executive or in the administration of the National Assembly will insert even a letter, a word, or anything to the process. If such become necessary, they need to be brought back for appropriate legislative actions. And any law, however minute the changes have been made, that were made outside what the chambers, the two chambers of National Assembly may have done, to the extent that those changes were imputed, such a law should, in the contemplation of the Constitution, be declared null and void, because the law, the Constitution, does not contemplate that any person outside the legislature will sit down to do any corrections. When those corrections are done, they are supposed to be brought back.
In other words, are you advocating for the four tax
Where,
laws
as long as you can establish that they were,
the National Assembly should be brought back for further scrutiny?
Those are not laws. To the extent that those changes were made, they are not laws. They are frauds. They are not laws. So it is not a. It is the version that was passed by the House and assented to the president that stands. If the president did not assent to the ones that were sent by the National Assembly, to the extent of those inconsistencies or those, to the extent that those insertions or removals were made, those laws in the eyes of the Constitution are null and void. They are not laws.
As you can see, we have the two versions. You can hear from the other man that what they've gotten is that Tinubu government have given themselves a lot of power, power to arrest, power not to seek Senate, seek the parliamentary input whenever they want to change the law in the future, which is so very bad. That is where we are now in Nigeria. That Tinubu government is so desperate regarding this task that they can do whatever they want to do, change the law in the midway. After the parliament have passed the law, they change it to fit their own preferences. And that is bad for everybody. What do you think about this allegation that Tinubu government edited the law? And what do you think about the MOU of we signing our future away to the French government? Thank you very much. Please, again, I beg you, if you haven't followed me, or please subscribe, share this video, comment on it, and like it.